Have you found your six-pack? I mean the one in your core, not the one in the back of your fridge. Welcome to another episode of Mythbusters Fitness Edition, where I take different topics around the fitness, training, nutrition, and mindset world, break down all of the information out there and give you the truth. Because there's a lot of information out there, and not all of it's true. And if you spend all of this time realizing later on that you followed information that's not accurate or not true, maybe even a lie, that's really frustrating. So I want to give you the facts in an applicable way so that you can take it and apply it to your training, to your nutrition, to your lifestyle. So this week we're talking about six-pack abs, because so many people come in looking to define their core, looking to have those lines. Maybe even to build a six-pack is something I hear quite a bit from both males and females. And so many of us get frustrated because we just can't build that. Oh, we had that in our teens, we had that growing up, but now we just can't seem to find it anymore. So let's talk a little bit about why it's so hard for us to build six-pack abs in the first place. First and foremost, we have to consider gender. This is your biological sex, I technically mean. And that means that if you are born biologically female, you are at a disadvantage because of the hormones that run through your body and the way that your body naturally stores body fat. So you think of testosterone, progesterone, all of those hormones that run through your system affect where fat storage is. You were also born in a biologically female body, which means that you carry fat in different places. And one of those most common places is at that lower part of that core, because that's typically where, when we get to childbearing years, we want that extra storage to help support, protect, and supply a baby. Males, you are a little bit more genetically favorable when it comes to building six-pack abs. You have more testosterone flowing through your system, which helps in overall muscular development, which when you look at males versus females and you see muscular definition, you can see how that does factor in. But biological sex on its own is not the only reason you can or cannot build your six-pack abs. The second thing you have to consider is your born body type. There are ectomorphs, endomorphs, and mesomorphs. And depending on which type you are, it may or may not be harder to build your six-pack abs. Your ectomorphs and your mesomorphs might have a little bit more favorable conditions in terms of their body structure for building six-pack abs. Endomorphs might struggle a little bit more because you carry and you distribute your fat in the central location of your body more than the other types. Last but not least, we have to consider overall fat distribution. We all know where we typically put on weight if we're going to put on weight, or where we typically lose weight when we're going to lose weight. Oh, you lose it in your boobs first, you lose it in your legs first, your butt first, wherever it may be, your face first. We have those areas to where we store fat, we hold on to it a little bit better, and where we more readily lose fat. So that is something to consider. If you are somebody who stores fat in their central, in their core, in their gut, that's going to be a little bit harder for you to distribute. Now notice in all three of these, I say a little bit harder, or you have more favorable odds. That does not mean that you cannot build six-pack abs. There are plenty of females who have had six-pack abs. There are plenty of endomorphs who have worked their tails off to get to six-pack abs. There are plenty of people who naturally store fat in their core more that have built abs. So your biological sex, your body type, and your natural predisposition to fat storage does not factor into it. You can still build six-pack abs. We just have to know how to do it. First things first is you have to start in the kitchen. You have to start by checking your diet, because a lot of the time, if you are eating highly processed foods, salty, sugary foods, you're going to really struggle to build the six-pack abs, because where those additional additives get stored is really in your gut. That's where it causes some inflammation. And when we have inflammation in the gut, that makes it difficult to see visible definition in our core. Well, the second thing you have to do is you have to work every muscle. So whether you know this or not, you have major core muscles and minor core muscles. Your major core muscles are your pelvic floor, your transverse abdominis, your multifidus, your obliques, your rectus abdominis, your erector spinae, your diaphragm. Some of those you may have heard of before, some of you haven't. The multifidus is one that people don't typically hear of or know. Your pelvic floor muscles, a lot of people don't technically consider those a part of the core because they're down in your pelvis, and we think of our core in this central location. Your minor core muscles, those are never associated with the core when it comes to general population. Those are your lats, your latissimus dorsi, your glutes, particularly your max, your glute max, and your trapezius. Those are muscles that we also need to train, and we need to give emphasis and focus to if we are looking to build six-pack abs. The worst thing that you can do is focus on your rectus abdominis, which is this section right here. While yes, that is where you see lines for six-pack abs, that's not exactly training. Just that means that we just would build fat and we'd spread the fat from other locations. 3 is don't max out on crunches. And here's the thing, that kind of piggybacks off of number 2, in that if you're training every muscle that's associated with the core, you won't just be doing crunches. Crunches might be one of the lowest core exercises in terms of effectiveness. It's one that everybody knows how to do. It's the low-hanging fruit, so we grab onto it. We do it because we feel a burn in our core. But here's what I like to tell clients is that let's say that you're weighing the difference between a plank and a core, or a plank and a crunch. A crunch is really going to work this strip right here, right? You can feel that your legs might be up, maybe down, but you crunch and you feel that burn right kind of at the bottom of the rib cage. When you do a plank, well, you may not feel it. You're actually working your obliques. You're tightening, you're pulling the rib cage toward the hips, which means you're working that rectus abdominis a little bit more. You're working your lats, you're working your glutes, you're working much more muscles in the core, which means it's more effective. So don't max out on crunches and try to get creative in how you work every muscle in the core. The 4th is master the plank, belly breathing, and the hollow hold. Those are 3 exercises that I'll be sure to post up some videos this week so you can see examples of how to properly perform a plank, how to properly breathe through your belly, and how to properly perform a hollow hold, because those set the base and set the foundation for a strong, lean core. Number 5 is don't spend hours training your abs or on the treadmill. By just shredding calories does not guarantee that you are going to build six-pack abs. One of my favorite examples to look at is think of all of those starving children in Africa who they've got this belly. You're like, well, you're starving. How do you have this beer belly, this gut? That is what happens when you shred too many calories and your body gets into such a deep state of stress and starvation, it begins to push out. So when a lot of people think that they're going on the treadmill to burn more calories, which does help, they kind of tend to do overkill and overstress the system, which can really hurt your ability to lean out and define that core. Second thing goes with don't spend hours training your abs. If you use core work to teach yourself how to activate the core, you can train your core in every exercise that you do in the gym. Number 6 is stay active. You live an active lifestyle. You're going to participate in much more healthy habits. You're going to have a healthier practice in your overall lifestyle, and you're going to burn more calories overall, which does contribute to fat loss, which does contribute to lean core muscles. And last but not least is don't stress. And stress is a huge contributor to the definition of your core, in that when you're overly stressed, cortisol will build up in this midsection. So thank you for checking out this episode of Mythbusters Fitness Edition. Stay tuned for future episodes of Mythbusters. I'd love to break down a topic for you, so if you have special requests, feel free to submit those, and I'll get right to it in the next episode. All right, have a great day.